Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars and welcome to my very first Steam Deck review, and it is for Everspace 2. Now this came out several months ago, and those of you who maybe follow my content, you may be aware, or you may not be aware, that fairly recently, over the last few weeks, I picked up a Steam Deck, and I was absolutely delighted. I've been after one for quite some time, managed to get hold of one, and I have been playing a handful of games at the minute, and definitely the one I've been putting the most time into right now is Everspace 2. This is a game that I've had my eagle eye on for a long time. I do know it's coming out on console later this year, but I couldn't really wait. I love like space sim, space combat games. And this was definitely on my buy list this year, certainly for consoles, if I couldn't get hold of a Steam Deck. But I have now been playing this a couple of weeks, and I wanted to give you guys a little bit of my feedback on the game and how essentially what my thoughts are on the game and how it works on Steam Deck. So this isn't necessarily a traditional PC review because I don't use PCs generally. This is more, like I say, of a Steam Deck review. Now, officially, the Steam Deck compatibility for this game, it claims that it's playable. Now, from my experience playing this game, this is absolutely fine to play on the Steam Deck. I've had absolutely no issues. The biggest issue I've had is some small text, I suppose, but you can get around that with the Steam Deck by using like the zoom tool and things like that. I have not had any problems with this game. The graphics and everything all works absolutely perfectly. Now, I know sometimes people that watch like reviews for games like this on PC and things maybe expect like an in-depth analysis on the settings and the graphical settings and stuff like that. You know, I'll give you a little bit of that, but it's not my bag really, you know what I mean? I haven't really experimented a great deal with settings on games like this. Maybe going forward I will. But it does give you lots of options for the resolution. You can set your quality to low, medium or high, or you can custom it, so you can set it to however you want, if that's something you want to do. Yeah, there's motion blur, lens flare. It gives you the options for mouse and keyboard. Now, I'll be honest, I don't have a mouse and keyboard, but I know you can use one for a Steam Deck because my son uses a mouse and keyboard for his Steam Deck. So if that's your preferred option, I suspect you will be able to use a mouse and keyboard with this, but I haven't tested it, so don't quote me on that one. But in regards to the Steam Deck controller, everything works absolutely fine, like the joypad controls and the triggers and everything. Everything does what you would expect it to do for a flight sim. You know what I mean? Like right trigger's fire and right one is missiles and all this kind of stuff. So everything's where you would expect it to be for the controllers, and I've not had to customize any of that. I've got used to the controls quite quick on this, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. But you can customize the controls if that's something you want to do. In regards to the game, depends on what kind of view you want. I always generally prefer like the cockpit view. I've always preferred that in space sims. It feels more immersive to me, but you don't have to have the cockpit view. You can have third person perspective as well. Some people prefer that. And Everspace 2 then, I mean, I don't know if any of you played Everspace 1. I did. I have reviewed it on the channel a few years ago now. I did quite enjoy that game. However, I'm not a big fan of rogue-like games. So sometimes I'm more of a fan of like Sims, you know, games that are more space sim-like or arcade-type games. So I wasn't a massive fan of the first game. Now, however, they've rectified that with the second one. This is much more of a traditional space sim stroke arcade shooter, and it's more akin, in actual fact, to a looter shooter. The way this game is structured, much of the game you will go through. You'll do missions, you'll do side missions, and within those side missions, there's plenty of loot to find, containers, scrap to collect that you use your tractor beam to pull it in, things to mine, all that kind of stuff to fill up your inventory so that you can constantly keep updating and upgrading your ship, getting new weapons for it from the ships that you're destroying out on missions and all that kind of stuff. um, docking at stations and upgrading and improving, and even buying new ships. There are new ships in this game, lots of different types of ships. Some ships are bigger than others, some are more built for combat, some are more built for like trading and carrying things. And you can do all those things in this game. However, it's not like Elite Dangerous in a sense of if you just want to go off and do your trading and stuff like that. This is more of a story-based type space arcade sim. So if you like your space sims a little bit more structured, then this could be definitely one for you. I've really been enjoying my time playing this one. Absolutely, I think the story's decent. If you have played the first one, you are again playing the same character from the first one, the clone. But it's for me, it's a much more structured story this time around, much more of a traditional story. And I've been really, really enjoying it. It is definitely a lot of fun to play this game. There's no getting around it. The combat for me is absolutely superb. On the Steam Deck as well, it's just so slick and smooth and easy to control. I've had, some space games, you'll the controls can be really fiddly and you just none of that with this game. It's just beautifully designed in the way that the ship moves, the way you control it, how the weapons work. There's nothing here that you're going to be in a tight situation where you're going to be struggling, thinking, "Oh God, what button do I press here? I can't remember." It doesn't really happen. It's a very, very simple game to play, a simple game to control, and it is a lot of fun to play. And it's arcade-like, but quite immersive at the same time. I think they've got the balance absolutely perfect here. I really, really do. I think the graphics are superb. Really, really good. This is probably a game I will pick up again when it comes out on the PlayStation 5, just to experience it on a bigger screen, because it is joyous to look at. You've got this great music in the background, like when you're traveling from place to place. You've got this lovely music. It never feels like it takes too long to get from mission to mission. It's quite tight in that sense. Never feels like you go very long without something to do. It always keeps you busy, this game, and every time you kind of go into a new system or whatever, it's got something unique about it, whether there's loads of asteroids or just the way it's designed and set up. It's just so beautifully designed is the best way I can describe it. I think the only thing I'm not a massive fan of here is like there are what you could describe, I suppose, as like environmental puzzles. You'll get to some wreckages or space stations or whatever, or something like that, and there'll be something you've got to kind of collect, pick up, and take from one place to the other. So you kind of tractor beam it in, hold on to it, and then take it to another place. So you might take a battery from one place and carry it and put it in another, which will open a door that will allow you into such and such a place. I've never been a massive fan of environmental puzzles on any game, regardless of what type of game it is. Whether it's the Uncharted games, whether it's Jedi Survivor, or whether it's this. Sometimes I think they're just kind of looking to add in mechanics sometimes where they're not needed. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not all the time where you have to do these environmental puzzles, and generally speaking, most of them are your choice. Because it could be a case of you might not necessarily need to do it, but if you want to be like a completionist and get all the loot in a certain area, you're going to have to do it, sort of thing. So it just depends on you, really. You don't always have to do it. Sometimes you do to complete a mission to move on, but it's not something you always have to do. So for me, I think this is an absolute joy. I mean, for my first real experience on the Steam Deck, I mean, I have played other games, but I've only maybe put a couple of hours into them. This one, I have sunk loads of hours into this one, and it's a game I will continue to play, continue to enjoy. Really, really fabulous game. And for my first experience on a Steam Deck, this game is absolutely perfect. So if you've been looking at this game, you've got a Steam Deck, for example, or even if you've just got a PC and you're just not sure about this game, obviously we know how well it's going to run on a PC, but if you had doubts about how well it's going to work on a Steam Deck, put them doubts to bed. I've had absolutely no problems with this on the Steam Deck. It's been a joy to play, and I have been having an absolute ball with this one. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review, my first Steam Deck review, and I'll be back with more content on the channel very, very soon.